Folks, today is an incredible day in OneUp land because I have not one but three things to show you guys, all in the branding department. The first one is three different mood boards that Bolt came up with just to try to identify a general visual direction that we want the app to take. Which is very exciting. That's the first thing I'm going to show you. The second thing is a messaging guide, a messaging package that we'll spend a little bit of time on. It's a lot of like text on a PowerPoint, so we're not going to go super into depth on that, but I'll talk a little bit about why or why not I think that was worth it, since that process is pretty much finalized. And then thirdly, we're going to take a look at the firmer, this is like the step 2 of more specific branding concepts. These have like mock-up logos and like specific colors and everything. I'm going to show you guys all of that. This has happened over the last, right now it's July 5th, and this has happened all over the last, I would say, 3 weeks or so. So a lot to update you guys on. We're going to start with these mood boards. First of all, when I saw this, like I am at the marketing agency building, and they're like pulling this up, and I see this right here, OneUp mood boards. This is when like it really started becoming real for me. Like this is a real thing. It's a real project. Real people are working on it. Like it feels like this is an actual product that started from nothing and it's going to be something. So I don't know. I wanted to share that excitement with you guys. But this first board, is this where it starts? Yes, it is. Okay. So this is direction number 1, jewel tones and geometrics. This one's definitely more like kind of modern, with some of the like almost like this kind of stuff reminds you very much of the App Store. I liked these like kind of logos and colors and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, general like positivity from this. This is kind of cool. The next one, there are 3 total. Pixel, what'd they call this? 8-bit 80s. I thought was also really cool, right? You got some Pac-Man icons up here. I don't know where these come from. If anyone knows, let me know, or maybe Spencer, the designer, just made them. A whole bunch of like sort of eclectic, I would say, design elements. You've even got like the old Windows error message there or something like that. This one doesn't really seem to fit to me. Maybe that's just me. But this one, obviously very gamey, felt very native on the channel. The only thing that we did talk about with the Pixel theme was it's been done a lot. So both Spencer and I had the sense of like, okay, if we're gonna do something like in the Pixel direction, we want it to feel very polished, very professional, and a little bit distinctive. Because there's a lot of pixel art out there when it comes to gaming related companies. There was a little bit of consideration in my mind of like, do I want, like, if I go more of the pixel route, more of like the arcadey kind of like retro gaming feel, does that hinder me in the future if potentially this app like were to expand to other collectibles categories? And ultimately what I had to decide was, I'm not really worried about that right now. Like scaling is awesome, but until I make a product that is as good as it can possibly be for my core audience, the people that like I am here creating a product for, solving their problems, I really have no business thinking about that. I want first and foremost this to be an app that video game collectors and resellers absolutely swear by. And so if a certain design scheme makes more sense for that specific audience, I'm going to go that way. So that was some nice clarity that I had. And then the third one here, if you guys want to see, this is a much more modern approach, minimalistic. You guys can see much more black and white, simplistic, not a ton of color going on. This one, immediately when I saw it, I was just kind of like, I'm feeling that least of the 3. The first 2, though, I was interested in sort of fleshing out a little bit more. So I said, okay, for the specific concepts in sort of phase 2 of the brand identity visual implementation, because this goes in stages, right? And you gradually get more and more specific. I would love to see a more fleshed out version of this one. Would love to see a more fleshed out version of this one, which is sort of the like, I don't know, there's seem to be like 70s kinds of color elements that are present here, but also feels a little bit more modern. So I'd love to see a little more of this. I'd love to see more of this. And then also let's do a third one that is these combined. So that was what I left them with at the end of meeting 1. Let's go ahead and check out now the brand messaging, which, by the way, all of the presentations that they've given me so far have been very professional and made me feel assured that I made the right decision in going with a marketing company. That said, here is the PowerPoint that they gave me of just sort of clarifying various elements, like who is the avatar that this is serving, what's the main problem that we're solving. I'm not going to read all this because that would be super boring. But like one-liner, generating asset, all this stuff they kind of explained to me as we went along. And this was all like sort of tailored to specifically the problems and audiences that OneUp is addressing. And that was already great. We've got like a couple of avatar here. You know, we've got TJ and Josh, the collectors, different like talking points to hit there. Kyle, who I thought Kyle kind of looks like a prick to me. Is that just me? Or maybe we should have named him Hank. Is that Hank? maybe Riff needs to start implementing this picture anytime I talk about Hank. Anyways, I just thought that was funny. I will say that like the messaging portion of this whole thing was probably what ultimately will bring me the least value. Not because of any lack of professionalism or like value that they're providing on their side. Stephanie, the person who I think primarily headed this section up, absolutely crushed it. I mean, you can see it looks polished, it looks excellent. But for my specific situation, I think that I just kind of naturally know better how to communicate effectively with my audience, naturally better than anyone else would. So while it's great to have like, you know, a word bank and like specific key points to mention, if I say in a part of one of my videos where I'm trying to promote OneUp, access current market pricing data to see how a game is being valued today, and it feels like I'm reading off of a script. You guys have all seen, I've done integrations like that. I've done sponsorships like that. Everyone has. You can tell, right? So for my business personally, I don't think I'm going to implement the stuff that they said here quite as much. It helps crystallize a couple things for me, like specific kinds of people that I'm serving. And maybe I will use some of this copy on my website. But personally, if I were to do it again, I would purchase their visual assets package, not necessarily the messaging, even though Stephanie did a great job and crushed it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for everyone. I think that communicating with my people is a strength of mine. Like something that I've done on the main channel has worked so far. You know, it's grown really well. And so I think just for me specifically, that wasn't as much of a value add. But here's the really exciting part. This is the visual brand concepts. And you can see right down here, version 1A. This is where it starts to get kind of specific. There's a brief here. Pixels. This is the first, like, you know, actual more concrete concept. Look at this. Look at this. It's an actual logo. That could be the OneUp logo right there with like, not necessarily with the games in the background. I think that's more there for reference. But look at that coin with the, like, it looks like a video game power-up. I saw this, and this was another moment where I'm like, this is becoming real. This is so exciting. So to keep going here, that's not where it ends. There's multiple slides for each one. We've got, you know, another little rendering here that's a little more pixelated. We've got a color palette. I don't think these would all necessarily be next to each other, but these would be like, you know, the poppy colors that would be maybe on a dark background or something like that. And then this, I loved. This little graphic concept section with the implementations of the colors that you saw up there with different sort of arcade style buttons and still the pixel graphics and like these little things that could be used for achievements or like different parts of the user interface and then the fonts over here. Oh my gosh, I saw this and I was like, wow, this is really what I was looking forward to with hiring a marketing company in the first place. This is so fun. And this is only idea number 1. So, oh yeah, this was the best part. Look at this. On a phone, this is how the app could look. Oh man, it was just so exciting to see. The next one, joystick, inspired more by like like he called this the Tron aesthetic, like very old school, like early days arcade kind of era. More of a modern logo, I would say, on this. Modern. A lot of people, when I was getting feedback on this, called this the modern option, even though it is really inspired by, especially this one, you can tell, like that's very retro, very arcade, very Tron. I really like this. The color scheme I thought on this was really cool too. I am more drawn to this than just the more standard primary colors of the first one. And then this thing, like the font, like the heading and like the body text font, I love that that's just more readable and understated. And this one's really cool. And then like specific implementations of the color scheme up here. These ones were, I thought, a little bit more generic and less exciting than the first ones. And then you can see, again, on the phone screen, so cool. Really liked that one. Then this third one was, I thought, a little bit more generic. We've got OneUp on the orange. Very different feel on this one. I thought these colors are maybe second best, maybe second to the more Tron aesthetic. And then this was where it kind of started to lose me. I was like, I don't really, the what is like the Muppets kind of is what it reminded me of a little bit. Like this seems a little bit, I can't decide if it's more like childlike or like it reminds me a lot of sort of the corporate animations that you'll see for like Kroger or some random app on TV where like everybody has like super big arms and tiny heads, and it's, I don't know. You know how all corporate animation kind of seems the same? That's a little bit of what this was evoking for me. No disrespect to Spencer who designed this at all, because it was helpful for me to see this and be like, I'm not feeling that as much. This is more than anything what helped me crystallize. I really do kind of want to go for a video game aesthetic overall. Like this one resonated, and the first one resonated so much more than the third ones. So again, the takeaway that we had from this meeting was, let's take the Pixel, what was it called? The Pixel concept, and let's take the Tron concept, or Troncept, I suppose. I said that and I immediately didn't like it. We're not going to say Troncept. Let's take the Pixel concept and let's take the Tron concept, flesh each of those out more. But what I said specifically was I would love to see, I love the dark mode of this one. I love how like the backgrounds are all dark and it just makes the bright colors pop that much more. But I would love to implement more of the graphic concept from the first one with these colors. So I would love to see these kinds of icons on more of this color scheme. And that was, by the way, a conclusion that I came to after having probably half a dozen conversations, both with Brittany, my thumbnail designer. I talked with Riff. I talked with my wife, trying to get as much feedback as I possibly could from intelligent people that are kind of in the space, and also my wife, who is an intelligent person outside of the space. Just getting general like gut reactions to this stuff. And I think pretty much everyone kind of agreed. The second one is really great, but the graphic concepts, the little icons, the ones that feel a little more video gamey would make the app more fun. So that was kind of the general consensus, but let me know in the comments. I'm really, really curious to hear your feedback, even though by the time I'm able to see it, by the time this video is uploaded, it'll be too late. I'm really curious to hear whether you guys think that's the right direction to take. In the next video that I make about the design side, we're going to be able to see, I think, hopefully different color schemes, and also what Spencer was able to do with that feedback that I gave him, and see what it turns out like. Like, we're very far away from the finish line still, but it's so cool that it's getting clearer. The first update, though, that I'm going to give you guys next is what direction the software is actually going to take. With like, am I sticking with the same team? Are they going to push me to the sister company? What's going to happen? That's still up in the air. That meeting actually is later today, so I'll maybe film another update video today or tomorrow, something like that. But yeah, appreciate you guys following along.